Well, good morning, friends. I'm hoping a few of you can join me now to take a little walk around my garden, but also to wish a good friend a happy birthday. It's a very special birthday for him. He's had a bunch, and I've put a little invitation out on Facebook. I don't know if how many will see it, and I'm starting a little earlier than I had planned. Sadly, there is a roofing crew just 2 houses down, and it is starting to rain. And also I can't do live video any other way but vertically. So there is that to deal with. But I want to tell you what I'm all about here. I'm going to come out onto the sidewalk so that I can avoid falling down. See my little, oh, there are a few people. Who are you? Oh, because Lenny, Loretta, Gary. Where are you from? Oh, and there is Loretta sitting on the steps. Thank you for helping me wish a happy birthday to a friend. My purpose today is also to have you help me find something to dedicate in his memory. Now, if you've watched me very long, you'll know that I have a couple of big stones out in my yard. There's Tracy. Oh, I saw Tracy last night. Always love seeing Tracy. You're so kind to me. Well, it's Richard's birthday today. I'll let him tell you how old he is if he comes on. He may not. But I have 2 large stones out there that are dedicated to good friends. Well, one is a good friend who helped me bring that very stone home, and she passed away later that year. A very kind and wonderful lady who helped me so much in my early years here. She didn't object to going along with me in the convertible, and I remember that day she was griping that it was going to mess her hair up if we took the convertible, and I said, you know, what would we say, Tracy? The struggle is real. And but she went along with me anyway, and she did many of those kinds of trips with me. Well, later on, my Aunt Virginia passed away. She lived her whole life up in Blair, and I have out here in my garden a large pink granite stone that I brought from her backyard. She had quite a collection, and Jerry let me have one. The other that memorializes my friend Dolores is a Colorado moss rock. It's quite beautiful, and I have several of those. But my job today is to find something to name or to memorialize my friend Richard. And you know what I think it's going to be? I think it's going to be something with thorns on it. I think something with thorns on it, regardless of the color, it would be appropriate. Because, you know, Richard can be kind of prickly. That's... I'm churlish, but he is prickly. And I think I have found it right over here. Let me just avoid falling down. Here in this side garden, I'm on a corner lot, so this faces south, and here I have, there you can see out around my neighborhood. But there is, oh my, even my neighbor is moving out here now, so I have all kinds of noise. I have thunder. Nancy, are you watching? Nancy and I are good friends from high school. Nancy, if you've just tuned in, I'm out here trying to find something to memorialize a still living but very good friend, Richard. You've probably heard me talk about him, and you've heard his comments off and on. Philip, how are you? 2 stones in my garden areas memorialize an aunt, a dear Aunt Virginia, and an old co-worker and friend, Dolores, who passed away also. But for Richard, I think the best thing would be something prickly, a living plant, an old living plant, because he's kind of an old living plant. And my oldest agave is right here. And maybe it's appropriate too that the pot it's in is kind of crusty and peeling. I think that's appropriate. I'm kind of crusty and peeling myself. There's Rusty over there. I'm a little prickly. Isn't that an interesting thing? Now it's there's a stone there I might use for Richard. But this prickly agave, they come from Mexico. The blue agave is good for are harvested for tequila. And over the years, this one has lost some bottom leaves and new baby plants have come in below. Can you hear the rain above me? I could dedicate this daylily to Richard. What do you think? Is he that kind of lily person? I don't know. The agave's got my vote, I think. Yeah, that could be a good symbol for Richard. Well, I don't have anything else to say. I'll post this onto my Facebook page, and you're welcome to comment there again. And I'll make sure Richard sees it and all of your comments. Yeah, we have a good bit of rain coming down, and Richard likes to remind me that there's an old phrase about coming in out of the rain that I clearly do not live up to. But that's all for now. Thank you for tuning in. I'll chat with you all later. Oh, there's Richard, for heaven's sakes. You got here late. Richard, I apologize. I started a little early. It was starting to rain. Did you hear me talk about my dedication to you, a certain kind of plant, just as I dedicated 2 large stones to my Aunt Virginia? We've all voted, oh, I'm going to fall if I'm not careful. We decided that given your personality and your ageless wisdom, maybe the agave here, this prickly plant of all prickly plants, would be suitable for you. And the pot, of course, being crusty and peeling, I can relate to that too. I've got 6 of these, so I'll send you one. Well, I am going to get wet, and I think, uh-oh, sorry, I'm moving a little fast. There's Rusty here. Rusty, are you going to come over? No, he's going to walk with me. Come here. It's always good to see Rusty. The neighbors down the street are getting a new roof, so it's noisy, and we have rain. You know, we really needed rain. It's been muddy here since April. I might just try to get myself through the gate here. Rusty, are you getting wet? Oh. Today I was going to work on this electrification project. It won't get done. Isn't the bean nice? I should explain to you that many times these live videos are grainy and kind of shaky. They're not clear. They're often I'm glad to help with that, Richard. So I apologize if this is a little grainy. It's not anything you can adjust out of your screen. It's just the way it is. If I post this to Facebook, it will be clearer and you can see it later in a more normal fashion. But yeah, look at this rain. My canas. Back here I have this wonderful thing called, well, thank you. Good to know. I have this green plant called sweet potato vine. I recommend you always put in a few of those. I put them in the ground. A lot of people like them best in pots or hanging baskets, but I let them grow in the ground. And I'm going to come around here. Right straight ahead of me is one of two Weigela bushes, and they desperately need a second trimming. Oh, there's Clarice beneath this. Oh, Clarice and I have an interesting story to tell someday. We have had some adventures, haven't we? Loretta. I always enjoy Loretta's comments throughout the day. Well, I forgot to turn out these lights. My birds have flown. I don't know if you remember me talking about this earlier. My robins nested there. I have those all over the place, but that one was out here in the open, and I followed as much as I could, and they never seemed to be afraid of me. Clarice, you should be working. What are you doing? Hola, Cari. Remember when you were teaching me the word cabron y cabrona? I never forget that. So for fun, I called her a cabrona, and she didn't like that. She knew I was joking. Well, to recap what we were saying, because it's Dick's birthday, Richard's birthday, I wanted to dedicate to him a special thing in sort of a living memory, because I do that. I have a pile of stones here in memory of Cooper, the little dog that belonged to a friend. Oh, there's Leonardo from Rio de Janeiro. Richard, by the way, is from Clearwater, Florida, just across Tampa Bay, on the west side of Florida. And so my thought was to snoop around and see if I could find something to sort of symbolically put Richard's name on it. I'm in a corner here. I gotta turn around. I'll go a bit longer. I should slow down. I need to go inside. Over here we have, I think it's going to be grainy. I bet you my camera's getting wet. Over here I have the grapevine. I could dedicate the grapevine. It's a Concord grape. That could be the Richard Concord grape. Look at this. It's just quite pretty. I had one of these years ago, and I always thought maybe there's something better to grow as a viney thing. And then 3 years ago I decided, no, I'll just go ahead and do it. And it is doing very nicely, although it's needing some help. I need to wind it back up. It's falling. But this camera is maybe a little fussy when it comes to darker days, evenings, mornings, and of course that's when I like to get out there and take pictures. And you know, a good camera will do really well in that kind of light, but a cell phone video isn't the best for that. A cell phone video is less powerful. Take a look at these grasses. I don't know the name of this grass, but it has a common name of strawberries and cream because it has a little pink in there sometimes. It's actually yellowish, kind of like a Japanese ribbon grass, you might say. Over here I have lime grass, L-Y-M-E, Blue Dune is its name, and it's a spreader also. This thing above us is, I have a pair of sumac bushes that were put in just last summer. They are the common kind that grow out on the creeks and gullies of western Nebraska. Actually, here in Omaha we have thousands of them. They plant those out in the freeway areas, and they're just gorgeous. Oh, there's Sandy. Sandy's one of my favorite people. And let's see. Leonardo, good morning. Well, I'll show you a little bit of my private life. Includes the mailman. He comes all times of day. I never know exactly when. And he's turning around because I am the last guy on the route. I actually have two mailboxes. The old one, which is at the front door on the other driveway. And this one down here, which is kind of out of the way. Which I think they prefer. But, yeah, it is. Those those are goofy little unair conditioned. I don't think they even have heat for the winter, but this is what is this? Sedum Autumn Joy. Those little florets coming on will turn red eventually, and they'll stay on during the winter. The plant itself will die back, but those little florets will stay and turn brown. Someday I want to talk to you about this fence and this construction technique that I use. I have this kind of thing everywhere. This bird bath needs some water. I put a stone in there for them to have a little island. I guess that's a thing we do for birds. Over there I'm very happy that my friend Jeff found rhubarb for me. Brought 3 little cuttings from his neighbor's house, an old lady that was glad to help me reduce her population. The lamp post there will get electricity soon. I have it all ready to go. I just need to put it together. And I was going to do that today, by the way. When I moved here in 2009, this was all grass. Just grass everywhere, no trees. Well, I did have 2 big trees, but they were not attractive. I put in this fir here, Douglas fir, a lot of the arborvitaes that you see around. And some things have died, and I've changed as I've gone along. Down here, well, this is an interesting large barberry. I've purposely let it get bigger, and I have to say I have trimmed it carefully for many years, trying to keep it roundish. And now it is, I'm able to leave it alone, because I trimmed it well when it was young. But down here is something interesting. Now this plant is dedicated to Ruby McMinn. Ruby has gone on now. She was in her 90s when she passed away. Oh, there's a weed there I need to pull. She liked the spiderwort and said, I need a spiderwort. Well, I went out the very next day, and as luck would have it, I found one at Lowe's. So that is the Ruby McMinn spiderwort. Oh, I should get in here closer. This is a creeper and an invasive plant you might want to avoid. I've had many people tell me don't plant it, but see, can I hold it just right and maybe you'll see the little purple. And all of those little round buds will be flowers eventually. Over here I have something interesting called, between the 2 stones here is a juniper called Charles of England is Prince. Help me out here. Oh God. I thought I'd know it. Nope. The Prince of Wales. That's a Prince of Wales. I have only one Prince of Wales juniper. The round ball, as does all of my pottery work, comes from an artist gallery, an artist colony just outside of Guadalajara, Mexico. They are brought here by a couple of import dealers here in Omaha. And I get everything. It's important to me because I visited that colony some years ago, 2003. So I've been there. Well, Sandy asks about weed barrier, and I've done that, but only to cover grass. I don't have any luck with it holding weeds back, because weeds always come from seeds and they plop in on top of whatever you put down. So weeds will always be a problem, but I do use it for grass covering. Although you can use the expensive mesh, or you can simply use paper. Newspapers, I use yard waste bags. This particular, and that was the case here, I put a truckload of dirt there to begin with, and around the edges where I knew grass was going to eventually come up, I put down heavy yard waste bags paper, and that really did effectively stop the growth of grass. Now I have a few sprigs coming through, but I can control it. Doesn't take long, and the grass will simply be smothered and go away. Oh, I am so sorry. Look, Sandy. Well, there was an interruption, but I decided. Then I got a button that said, "Do you want to resume?" And I said, "Well, I'm new at this. This is like my third one." I just realized that I had an opportunity and that I failed to catch that. And here is the stone ahead of me that came from my Aunt Virginia's backyard. Now you can see, especially when it's wet, it's a gorgeous pink color. Now, it's not huge, but it's sizable. It's probably the biggest one here. I don't know where Dolores' stone is. I think it's around front. Here is the light post I'm going to work on when I get a chance. I had thought originally I wouldn't bother with it. Lamp posts tend to be just for looks anyway. It has a brand new clematis growing up the side. Next year that will be much larger, sturdier. What you're seeing is just a repeat of everything else I post. But I wanted to bring Richard into the picture with a birthday video just for him. I hope you all send him a personal greeting. I have these palm trees too. This year they're a little different in my Mexican urns. They're called majestic palms, and they're not very big, but they are a replacement for cannas, which I usually put in. Aren't they neat? I'm going to step back here. There's no way to make this smooth and perfect. It's just going to be jerky, herky-jerky. My Mandevilla dipladenias, whatever you call them, are the brand known as Rio. Leonardo in Rio de Janeiro can appreciate that. The Rio dipladenia. And I have 19 baskets of these. Isn't that cool? Next year I will try to have more of these. This is called hyacinth bean. I've tried roses here to no special luck. So I'm just going to go with some annual plant and be happy with that. I might even leave those over the winter for special, just for a decorative look. I wanted also to come around here and show you the life of Rusty. Rusty, you know I'm talking about you. He doesn't want to come outside. You want to come outside? He hears the thunder. And that's kind of scary for Rusty. Well, I do have overhead clouds and rain and lightning and thunder, so the phone is telling me that it's probably going to shut off pretty soon, and this is way over my time limit anyway. Thank you for stopping by. Love you all. Happy birthday, Richard. And I hope you have many more because I need your friendship.